And he's seen what power does to people and what it takes to be part of a powerful family. So, and he's seen his family has paid the price, yet he sucked it up, and he's so courageous that he's stepping into this arena knowing very well firsthand what the price is and what the dangers are and the powers to be, what they're capable of doing. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Soulful Intuitive. I wanted to thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And we are going to talk about Robert Kennedy today. I am not an American citizen. However, I think wherever you live, you should follow American politics because that will directly affect the politics and the conditions of the rest of the world. But I am married to an American citizen, and because of him, I have come to learn more and more and more about why is it that the American democracy is so important, not just for American, but for the rest of the world, and why is it that their constitution should be a model for the rest of the world, because it is the only constitution in the world that had the right of everyday citizen at heart and was written to protect the poor, protect the ordinary against the rich and powerful. We need to pay attention to the voices out there in our world who are talking about getting people censored and taking more and more of our personal freedom away. And as someone who experienced what happened to people, especially men of color, after the 9/11 at every airport, at every checkpoint, where we were stripped and searched and belittled and insulted in the name of national security. I was very young when that started, and I was told by my father that we just have to suck it up and we just have to take it. So that started almost 20 years ago, and it's still going. I've started following American politics intensely ever since, because I realized that if two towers can get hit in America and you live in another country, and the domino effect of that will just go all around the world, and the policies made and the wars started because of those events will affect all of us. So for those of you out there who are an avid self-development junkie like I am, we need to know that, yes, in order to live in a better world, we all need to change on a personal level and on a deep level, and we need to do in-depth search inside, and we need to find what it is that we aren't comfortable with, our issues, our traumas, our difficulties, our situations that we need to attend to in order to become a more balanced human being and a balanced soul, a balanced entity, a balanced mind, a balanced heart. So with that balance and the people around us, if they do the same thing, we can create a world where there's more balance. Because these days and in the past so many years, we have been living in a world where there is no balance. There is no balance when it comes to how much poverty we have and how very few people have billions of dollars in their hand. There is no balance about racial justice. There's no balance about who gets educated and who doesn't get educated. There's no balance about job market. There's no balance about health insurance. There's no balance about who gets help medically and who doesn't. There's zero balance, and our inner world is always reflected on the outer world. So that's why I think it's important that as much as we need to work on ourselves, we also should know that we're all connected. We're a tapestry, and we just one tiny yarn in that big piece of art. We can't say that I will only care about me and I will only see what's good for me, and I'm going to close my eyes and ignore what's happening around me, because that's the definition of ignorance. Ignorant people need to do some inward search to see why is it that they only look out for themselves, and why is it that they don't want to look at things that make them feel uncomfortable or make them feel confused or make them feel little, because we're not little, we're just beings having a human experience, and we also have to find how powerful we are, and that inner power that we all have, and the inner radar, the inner guidance, also known to us as intuition. Talking about intuition, every time I watch Robert Kennedy Jr. talking and being interviewed, I go deep down and I turn on my bullshit meter. And even though he's not perfect, because no one is, he's just a human being full of flaws, my bullshit meter is not going off. I would invite people to listen to what he has to say and to not fall for the smearing campaign, because I've learned that whenever the mainstream media is saying something, the truth is the opposite of what they're saying. So if they're saying don't listen to this person, listen to this person. If they're saying we're doing this for the good of you, they're not doing this for the good of you. And they have proven it over and over and over again. Again, going back to what started this whole experience that drove me into questioning everything was 9/11, and how that war was started based on the weapons of mass destruction. And of course, there were no weapons of mass destruction. And I also worked with 2 Iraqis for many years, and they told me the actual reality of that war and the atrocities that were done in Iraq in the name of bringing democracy. I talk to people, I ask questions from everyone from all around the world. I am always curious, and I don't pretend like I know everything, but I do tell everyone that I want to know as much as I can. And I urge everyone out there, especially our American audience, to put aside what they've heard about certain someone, in this case, Mr. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, and turn on their YouTube, go on these podcasts, and force themselves to sit through a few of his interviews. I've pretty much listened to all of them because I'm a big fan, and I'll tell you why I'm a big fan. But after you listen to a few of them, you realize that he obviously is a very smart individual, and he has rehearsed these potential questions that are going to be asked. So he gives pretty much the same answer regardless of what podcast he's sitting on, with little nuances here and there. But the reason why I really like him is because he comes across as very genuine. He's not a politician. Politicians, unfortunately, in order to make it in that arena, have to be two-faced, three-faced, sometimes many, many faces. They just learn early on that what they say and what they do will be very different. And with having advisors and statistics in their hands, they will tell you what you want to hear. And they know pretty much, with today's social media has collected so much information from everyone, that they know exactly what average people like us are concerned about. So of course they're going to tell you what you want to hear, which is, we're going to lower your taxes, we're going to create more jobs, we're going to give you free insurance, all of these things that they've been saying for decades and decades, and none of them has ever come to fruition. I think we should just all turn on or work on our intuition in line with the Soulful Intuitive message. And the reason why this channel started was to just go inside and try to judge what we hear and see and feel with our intuition, and it usually tells us the truth. I've been listening to him. I really like his message. I really like how inclusive he is. I really like that he's not creating divides between left and right and up and down and men and women and everything in between. He is a force. For at least the first time that I see, he is someone who wants to bring people together, like the message of unity, which is so important, not just nationally, but even worldwide. We need to unite. And we, unfortunately, for as long as human beings were around, they have been divided so they could be ruled over. And it's a very simple tactic. It wasn't invented yesterday and it's been going on forever and ever. So we need to ask ourselves, whenever a dividing factor, a dividing voice, a dividing personality comes to the scene, what is it and why is it that they're dividing us into twos or fours or more? Because the more divisions, the smaller those groups, and the smaller those groups are, the easier they are to be taken over. So that's one of the first things that I like about him, that he's very inclusive. He is not divisive. He is not rude. He is very genuine. He talks about his flaws more than he talks about his gifts. He does not need to prove to people that he is on top of everything. He is very candid to talk about how human he is, and he talks about his addiction. We live in a world, our societies are ridden with addiction, and like this person has had the addiction because he's had the major trauma in his life. He lost his dad at a very young age in a public setting, who was murdered. That's trauma. He lost his siblings, and he was addicted for so many years publicly, and I'm sure he was ridiculed, and he was shamed, and he was called names and all of that, but he came out of it on the other side, and he has been living sober for 40 years. He understands sobriety. He understands what drives people to addiction. He understands the steps one needs to make in order to heal their trauma. On the other hand, he's part of a political dynasty. He's part of a very powerful and affluent family. He's lived in good homes. He's driven good cars. He's lived the VIP life. So he's not running this campaign because he wants to buy another house. Because if you grew up in it, if you had it, it's no longer your dream. It's what you're used to, but it's very different than when you never had it and you want to have it all, because he's had it all. So he's not motivated by money. He's not motivated by fame, because he's always been famous. And he's not motivated by necessarily power, because he's been part of a powerful family. And he's seen what power does to people and what it takes to be part of a powerful family. He's seen his family has paid the price, yet he sucked it up, and he's so courageous that he's stepping into this arena knowing very well firsthand what the price is and what the dangers are and the powers to be, what they're capable of doing. But he feels responsible because he knows that we're all part of one body. We're collectively just one body, and every single one of us is just a different cell of this massive 8 billion celled body of human being. So he wants to do something. He wants to bring his expertise, and he wants to bring his humility, and he wants to bring his good nature, his wounded yet healed and kind heart into this game, where usually this game is played by people who manipulate and who are there for their own agenda. Usually it's played by people who are put in power, who are promised things if they do certain things and say certain things. Another reason why I really like him is because he also has suffered an illness. He literally lost his voice. I mean, how much more courageous do you have to be? The universe has tested him, took his voice away. Like, it took a lawyer's voice away, someone who's been public speaking for decades. And yet, it's like being a model and losing your physique and still hitting the runway. And that's what he's doing. He's lost his voice, and yet he has dealt with his inner demons. He's dealt with his insecurities, and he's exposing himself. He is being vulnerable. He is exposing to us his disease and what his disease has done to him. He's making himself vulnerable to be made fun of. And he's sharing his ideas that didn't just come overnight. He spent decades saving the environment and fighting for our environment. He's so educated about the things he's talking about, yet he's so humble that he says, come and debate with me. I don't think that I'm right. I like to have a debate and I like to be proven wrong. When was the last time you heard that? Even our parents have never told us that, because they told us that what they say is the rule and there is no room for negotiation. And yet this person is going to run for the most important office in the world, and he's saying that he's humble enough to be debated and to be proven otherwise. Like, that is a quality you want in every human being. That's a quality you want definitely in your leaders, especially leaders who are going to pass laws and be influential enough to influence the whole world. It only takes one bad leader to create so much chaos that will take decades to get out of and to heal from. But also it takes one good leader to change things for better, because when people then get a taste of what it's like to be ruled and what it's like to have a leader who's honest, who's caring, who's humble, who's vulnerable, who's just normal. This guy took his shirt off and worked out in front of the camera. When was the last time you saw a politician do it? Everything politicians do is rehearse. Everything politicians do is just a performance. Or this guy is just working out and he's exposing his buff body to the whole world. Like, that is so important. And I am very excited. I really feel like as humans, we should celebrate the fact that we've been given this chance to see, because all we've heard about was, don't get into politics, politics dirty, politicians are all bad. This is so refreshing that you see someone with so much trauma, with so much baggage, yet he's used that trauma and baggage to become a better human being. And that doesn't come for cheap. He's worked on it. He's tried very hard for the past 40 years to work on his issues, to work on his trauma, and he's bringing that hard-won experience that is priceless, and he wants to share that. He's not going to tell you, war on drugs, just say no to drugs, because the idiots who said that were pointing blames at you because they didn't understand addiction. This guy understands addiction, because what he's saying is exactly aligned with Dr. Gabor Mate, who wrote a book by the title of Myth of Normal, that's saying that you are not to be blamed, you are traumatized. Let's work on that trauma, and then the addiction will dissipate, go away. So this guy is not pointing fingers at other political parties and saying that you're wrong. He's saying that I welcome you, I want to unite us. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. That's what the world needs. The world does not need more divisions. As a member of LGBTQ plus family, I thought maybe 10 years ago, when gay marriage became legal in so many parts of the world, that we were stepping in the right direction to unite, and the powers to be didn't expect how quickly people welcomed that and understood it and moved on. And now they started another campaign to divide and rule and take us maybe 10 steps back. I think we should all just talk to each other. I think we should all be hopeful. We should all be grateful that this beautiful universe, with its mysterious ways of bringing us up and down, also surprise us every now and then with gifts and opportunities. I'm sure people who were living in the 60s and the 70s were very excited when the Beatles came and they started singing about like anti-war sentiments, when we had the liberation of Black movement happening in the world, were the end of segregation. We had those amazing leaders of those movements that were assassinated. Like, when they came into the scene, I'm sure people felt this way, that finally we have a voice, we have someone who cares, we have someone who dares to speak up, but also unite people, but also educate people, but also be vulnerable and humble and loving and kind. I think we are experiencing that again. I'm not making a comparison between Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King, but I'm sure it was refreshing when he started educating people that we're all the same, regardless of our skin color. I think it was so powerful and emotional when he was voicing the pain of the Black community to the rest of his nation and consequently the rest of the world, and what they had to put up with for so long, for the fact that people didn't want to unite, for the fact that they allowed the powers to be to divide them. Change can happen very quickly, but only if we're open to it, only if we open our heart, only if we use the voice of God within, our intuition, and only if we talk to each other with no agenda, with the ability to hear each other out, even if it gets hard at times to understand each other. And I think Robert Kennedy, by going to every podcast, I will have him, because let's face it, they're not platforming him anywhere else, and they're calling him anti-vaxxers, which is not, because he's vaccinated. He vaccinated his kids. He's not anti-vaxxer. I'm going to tell you a story, because I got vaccinated for COVID and I got myocarditis, and so I was missing some time for work. And then, so when I was back to work, one of my clients asked me, "Oh, why did you cancel your appointment?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I got myocarditis, so I was just in the hospital getting treatment." And he looked at me, this educated person who's been my client for many, many years, was a very kind person, looked at me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were an anti-vaxxer." So I experienced BS like that, where people are so brainwashed and they have so graciously swallowed the bullshit that they were fed, that they just jumped up and put their finger in your throat and call you something that you're not. Because how can you be an anti-vaxxer if you've been vaccinated? It's ridiculous. But fear does all kinds of things to people. It turns off their logical thinking. It brings us down to just being nothing but scared primates. We have our frontal lobe in our brain and we need to use it. I feel very passionate about this. I want everybody who watches this video to go on YouTube and Rumble and whatever platform you use to start listening to him talk, because he has some good points. He doesn't insult people when they ask him difficult questions, even though some people are very, very rude asking him questions, and they have an agenda to smear him and to make him look like an a-hole or a fraud. And this man just deals with it so beautifully, with his kindness, with his genuine answers, and with this gracious attitude. He wins most crowds. I hope that you can go on all these platforms that I mentioned before. He was on Breaking Points a couple of times, The Hill, Kim Iverson. He was on Glenn Greenwald. He was, I don't think he was on Grey Zone, or maybe I missed that one. He was on many, many platforms. If you want to listen to what he says, you can tune into one or two or three of those interviews. And I think after you listen to a few, you'll see what I'm saying, because he basically knows what people are going to ask him, so he's prepared. But his answers are not fake. They are his life experience. And he shares his life story, and he shares statistics and data when he talks about certain things, not just off the cuff, and he doesn't make things up. And he urges everybody to go and check what he's saying. He just doesn't tell people that take what I'm telling you and run with it. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope that this opens a box of curiosity for you, and maybe after watching this, you'll go and click and watch one of his interviews. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.